Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our first school update with Dean Yeltekin. My name is Tim Henkel. I'm a 1999 full-time MBA graduate, and I'm joining you virtually today from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. As a proud member of the Simon Alumni Board, I'm pleased to be hosting this session today. I'm also a first-time host, so Dean and I are getting out of the box together here as first-timers. We're excited about Dean Yeltekin's energy and her plans for the school, and know you'll feel the same at the close of this program. Please, as a matter of business here, use the Q&A box throughout the presentation. We'll answer questions at the close of Dean Yeltekin's remarks. And so with that, Sevin, let's get started.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, everybody attending. I can't see your faces, but I know that quite a few of you are taking time out of your busy schedules to be here with us, so I really appreciate it. We wanted to give you an update about how things are going at Simon. I know that this is a tradition, and it's especially important during what has been a very different and a challenging year. So we have a few slides prepared. I have a few slides prepared to share with you, and then I'll make sure to leave some time at the end for some Q&A. So here's what I'm going to try to cover. On the next slide, you will see an agenda. Next, please. I'll give you an update on enrollments, and related to the enrollments, I will give you an update on 2 Chinese partnerships that we have been engaged in, and some of the, of course, the placement and student outcomes that I know you're eager to hear about. Those of you who've received or have been looking at your email from our correspondences, you know that we also announced an organizational change at the very end of December, and I'll talk a little bit about that as well. And I'll give you an update on the process, where we are in the process of developing a strategic plan for the school, and from our advancement and from our Simon and UR, what it means for us, the campaign Together for Rochester. So with that, let me quickly dive into our enrollment numbers, which is on our next slide. Oh, our next slide. Okay, great. Our 2020-21 enrollment, we had a great recruitment year and added 241 MS students to in our spring cohort. So we had some of our students, about half of our students, start in the fall as usual. But because of the pandemic and because of sort of travel restrictions, Simon had decided to split that cohort, give the students a chance to either come in the fall, whether that's virtual or in person, or to defer their enrollment until January and start with a January cohort. Our expected sort of size for that entire the combined cohort was about 450. And here you can see it broken down by different programs. About 230 students started in the fall, and just this week, 241 students started, and this is the MS Accountancy, MS Finance, and the 2 Business Analytics programs. And as you can see, some of them are fully online, a few of them are physically in Rochester, and we had a nice orientation with them. And quite a few of them are in what we are calling the study local option. So let me give you a little bit about, of course, this study local option as well. And you know, we also have had in addition to the study local option, of course, we've been tracking how students have been doing throughout the fall. Even if they're not in Rochester, a lot of them are coming in to classes through Zoom and online. And very positive on the teaching side. We've had very positive ratings from the students and feedback from the students, and also the support that they have received through our Career Center and our Student Services, our Office of Student Engagement. And there's been a tremendous amount of sort of very innovative programming done to be able to reach our students all across the United States and all across the globe. And that meant that, you know, there was a lot of sort of logging in early in the morning and logging in and late at night to be able to hit all sorts of time zones. You know, everybody's feeling, of course, the sort of the general stress and fatigue of the last sort of 11 months. And well, you know, we really don't know how our current students are going to evaluate this experience in our future rankings. I think they do appreciate the enormous amount of effort and the enormous amount of work and out of the box thinking that went into ensuring that we were able to carry this year successfully. So let me go to the next slide. Altogether, that means that we have 476 students in our MS programs across the 4 MS programs. That is a new high for the Simon School, and our goal was 455. So that's also about 20 more students above our target. 2020 was also an excellent year for our MBA recruitment efforts. We brought in 126 new MBA students, the largest MBA cohort in a while, and an increase of 20% in the last 5 years. Not only our enrollment in our MBA program is high, it is the most diverse class we've had, with over 40% female students, and over 30% of the entire class is domestic underrepresented minorities. So we're delighted to have them. You know, they've done very well throughout the fall, and they're back in class and back in session, you know, busy with both the recruitment and of course the curricular and co-curricular activities. So going on to the next slide, I can tell you a little bit about our Chinese partnerships. When it became clear that both the pandemic and travel restrictions or difficulties, as well as sort of being able to obtain visas to be able to come to the United States was going to continue, not just throughout the fall, but possibly well into the spring semester, we quickly came together, the management team and our staff and our faculty at the school, to try to think of options that we could provide for our students. Our MS students who had deferred until January had expressed a strong desire to be able to have in-person experiences with their cohorts, ideally, of course, with their Simon, with the Simon School, with their Simon faculty, and as well as staff. Because we were not able to provide that due to circumstances well beyond our control, we quickly went into sort of, thinking mode, and we were able to strike 2 partnerships for the spring term with 2 very prestigious schools. This is the Peking University, as well as the Shanghai Jiaotong University and their Institute for Finance, SAFE. And so our analytics and accounting students are taking classes at PKU. They're taking 2 classes there, and the classes are listed on this slide if you're interested. And our SAFE students, which are our MSF students, our Masters of Finance, are also taking 2 classes with their own cohort at SAFE. So they are safely tucked in. They've had their both Simon orientation as well as their respective study local orientation. We received wonderful pictures. They're ready to go, geared to go, started classes, and they're also taking, of course, through Zoom and through online means, classes with us. So they've started. It's been a successful start, and we're hoping to, end this very unusual spring semester on a high note as we welcome them into Rochester in the beginning of the summer. Going into the next sort of the MBA outcomes, which is our, of course, placement outcomes, I wanted to show you a glimpse of where we are relative to exactly last year. So this is a apples to apples comparison. We're looking at where the MBA students were in terms of their placement in early January last year, before COVID was on the scene, and where we are right now. So as far as full-time employment or non-internship employment is concerned, at this point in time, the class of 2020 last year, 59% of the students had received an offer, and 41% had accepted that offer. The mean base salary was 127, with a mean sign-on of $45,000, with a total of about $172,000. So that's a very nice outcome for our students. The class of 2021, at this point in time, 55% of them have received offers, and about 38% of them have accepted. Obviously, we're still in the, we're still getting the information. We're still collecting the information. The cycle is nowhere over. But given the circumstances that we're facing, and given that the circumstances of both economic circumstances that firms outside are facing, that small drop of about 4 percentage points compared to last year before COVID hit is certainly a remarkable success. Given the market circumstances and economic circumstances, there was definitely some anxiety around whether the outcomes would be much worse, but we're really not seeing that in these full-time offers. There's a little bit of a drop, as you can see, in the total package, but again, as the information comes in and as we update that information, we'll see what the end of the recruitment and the placement cycle will look like. But so far, so good. On the internship side, we do see a bigger change. About 45% of the students at this point, first-year students, would have had an internship at offer, and it is down to 25%. Now, I want to make a point over here, which is that it's not that recruiting isn't going on or that interviews aren't going on. That's certainly taking place. The firms seem to be a little bit slower in making decisions and actually extending offers. A lot of them are operating under sort of different kinds of procedures, or at least some sort of checks and balances in terms of how much sort of spending and hiring that they will do. So it's a little slower, and that kind of pace is reflecting on the pace of the internships that our students are facing. But we do hope that it will pick up, and then we will see much stronger numbers as the semester unfolds. Now, moving on to from the student outcomes to the MS students. Now, with the MS students, the collection of data is a little bit different. It's actually self-reported as opposed to the MBA. So we're still collecting quite a bit of information. Class of 2020, again, at this point in time, it's an apples to apples comparison. So looking at early January, 55% of the MS students had received offers and 50% of them had accepted. At this point, there's a little bit of a drop, 48% with receiving offers and 43% accepted. And again, given the circumstances, both market conditions as well as sort of, uncertainty about visas and uncertainty about travel and pandemic and so on, we do think that that slight decrease is not something to be terribly concerned about. That actually reflects the strength of our students and strength of our programs and the demand for the skills that they have. So as we gain more information, as the data collection and the offers and the cycle continues, we will certainly be able to update you with more good news. So that's on the placement side. Moving on to sort of the organizational change that you have received a note about at the end of the year. Effective January 1st, there's been a new organizational structure. As you know, I've been at the job for about 6 months, and one of the things that you do, of course, is learn the new organizational structure, think about where you would like to move the school and where, which direction that you would like to move in. And COVID has taken a tremendous amount of our time, whether that's sort of the operational details of how to open the campus, how to get our classes going, how to safely distance, get the testing done to make sure that our students and staff and faculty are safe, which is, of course, the paramount goal. I also have been very deliberate about carving out time to think about where we can move the Simon School. Our MS programs have grown substantially over the last few years. They're doing really, really well. We have to think about what education looks like in a post-COVID world in terms of its format. We had already begun some of the legwork to be able to offer an online business analytics for experienced prospective students. So I've decided that one of the things that really to ensure that we're being proactive rather than reactive is to be able to have folks who can devote some time to the strategic positioning and the strategic plan of the school. So we do now have a Senior Associate Dean of Education and Innovation. We already have the Senior Associate Dean of Faculty and Research, and the 2 Senior Associate Deans, along with a Senior Assistant Dean of Program Operations, Admissions, and Program Management, will position us really well in our efforts to move the school forward, think about the portfolio of programs, think about the modality of our programs, as well as where Simon can make an impact. And we've had some staff departures. You've probably heard about Angela Petrico, who's announced her retirement. So we are looking for a new placement for Angela, which are big shoes to fill, but we are hoping to be able to continue the progress that she has made at the Bennett Center. And Julie Walker, who's also on our on the call today, she's our Director of Advancement. She's been snatched away, unfortunately, and we're very sorry to see her go, but at the same time, wish her luck. So we will be looking for a new Executive Director of Advancement as well. So moving on to the next part of what is happening in terms of the strategic planning, like I've said, I've been very intentional about carving out some time to make sure that this has not been just a year of firefighting and COVID problem solving. I have identified the areas of focus. These are going to be about revitalization of our intellectual capital investment and development. The next one will be the global student recruiting and placement strategy. If one thing we've learned from this very experience is how important it is to be able to have global partnerships and global connections, both on the student recruitment side, but also on the placement side. While the Simon School does a fantastic job on both fronts, to be able to tie those two bookends together in a more structured way will help the school going forward, both for our MS students and also for our MBA students. And part of the organizational plan goal, which was to have the bandwidth and to have the right sort of the personnel in place to be able to do an active and structured educational portfolio management. And that is one of the other areas. And we teach a lot of data analytics. We want to make sure that we're also an institution that uses data analytics internally very well in terms of both innovating within our programs, in terms of our processes. So we're going to spend some time also on business intelligence at the Simon School. And of course, equity, diversity initiatives will continue and will be woven into the fabric of all of the initiatives and all of the strategic planning that I have mentioned. We are in the process of identifying the working groups, which will be cross-functional groups, including faculty, staff, and of course, and identify those working groups to work in these focus areas to generate different ideas, implementation plans, as well as metrics. And we will certainly have a reach out to our alumni and of course our students and other stakeholders to get their feedback once we have a draft priority plan and an action plan in place. So stay tuned for that as well. I look forward to your feedback for sure. And finally, I know that you're aware of this. I know that you've been contacted about this, and I've also put the link over here because it's on our alumni page, Together for Rochester. Thank you for staying connected and for your support, especially over the past year. It's like I said, and like all of you know, then it probably doesn't need repeating. It has been an exceptionally difficult year for everybody involved. Our students who have had to go through many obstacles to be able to start their career at Simon, as well as be able to start their professional career after Simon, as well as our staff and faculty, and of course those of you who are out there working and trying to manage work and life, everything at the same time. So bringing our alumni more closely into the life of the school and growing the sense of community among alumni is really critical for us and critical for expanding our success. Simon has been a part of this university effort, a one-year effort called Together for Rochester, meant specifically to help bring the community together during this challenging period. Together for Rochester is emphasizing engagement, but also financial support. It's about keeping our network strong and sustaining support for key areas. So it's offering new ways for you to engage with the school philanthropically, and also, to give you a glimpse of what are some of the priorities. So I just want to very quickly highlight a few of those as we close. Scholarships are our most pressing needs and our investment in the future. Unlike peer schools with far greater resources, our endowment only supports about 3% of the financial aid. More than 90% of our financial aid that we give out to our students in all of our programs comes from operating budget. The aid is crucial for equity of access, as well as attracting the top students and everybody that we want to be proud to have as our Simon students into our midst. So scholarship is a great area if you are able and willing to contribute. Faculty research and curriculum innovation have become even more important during these very disruptive times. And we want to bolster Simon's ability to adapt and be really sort of, thought leaders in this changing environment, and as well as lead and help our students innovate. A new educational diversity fund will help hiring and retaining diverse faculty at Simon, and also creating educational programs for staff, faculty, and students to enhance the inclusiveness and equity of access of our learning environment. That's another thing that we do highlight. And the Bennett Career Management Center, we need opportunities. We have more funding to secure and ensure good outcomes for our students. But, your connections, your network, your ability to be able to offer some meaningful experiences for our students, either as interns, as full-time employees, are deeply appreciated, of course, by our students and by us. And our advancement team is happy to share more details and answer more questions. So please do contact Brad Pearson, Simon's Director of Advancement, for more information. And more details can also be found on our alumni webpage. So with that, I will turn the floor back over to Tim. I know that was a lot of information very quickly, but I hope to be able to, in the next 10 minutes, be able to answer some questions as well. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Dean. Very exciting stuff. So I'm back, and we do have some questions that are piled up here. So I'll shoot one to you quickly, and you can distribute them among your team. First question is regarding specific initiatives aiming to preserve a high ratio of U.S. to international participants in the program. Mm-hmm. Anybody comment on that?
Absolutely. I mean, both our admissions team as well as our marketing team work very closely together to be able to have, make sure that we do have a healthy balance of sort of, student diversity in our programs in a multitude of dimensions. And I know that especially for our MS programs, the percentage of sort of international students to domestic students is something that has been highlighted in the past and has been looked at in the past. One of the outreaches that a few things that we are considering is to be able to get in front of students who are at their undergraduate level, to be able to get in front of those, both the UR students, both local students at other institutions in the Rochester or Finger Lakes area, but beyond that, it's sort of domestically. And how do we start engaging and putting the Simon name and the opportunities that they can have to enhance their educational experience? So a little bit more sort of targeted outreach with respect to the undergraduate population is something that we're looking at. And with that, also to look at perhaps places that not necessarily see Simon as an immediate destination, because we have a very analytical tilt. We want to make sure that students understand that doesn't mean that they need to come fully ready into the program with all of the analytical skills. This is where we deliver them analytical skills. So we will especially be targeting, looking at sort of liberal arts colleges, perhaps colleges where the analytical tilt is not necessarily great. So we have a few initiatives that we're already doing. We have a lot of marketing targeted to that area, and we will be doing some more targeted Simon initiatives with respect to undergraduates, as well as the MBA pool as well. Okay.
Another question we have here relates to levels of satisfaction among the students within the program. How do we measure them? What is our assessment right now? What is being done to prioritize and drive improvements to levels of satisfaction?
Yeah. I'm a huge believer of sort of iterative, feedback mechanism, in the sense that we sort of make sure that we get the feedback from the students and be able to bring that back into both sort of informing what our curriculum does, co-curricular activities, as well as the sort of the feel and culture of the community that we have at Simon. We do a variety of surveys. Some of them are structured in terms of sort of evaluating the in-class experience. And as you know, these were sort of the faculty and course evaluation surveys. We do a lot of sort of what we call pulse pulse checks and student experience surveys that are conducted by our Office of Student Experience. We do also invite students to be able to give us feedback at various. So we have certain metrics and surveys. We collect both quantitative and qualitative data that we review. We also have town halls with our students. One of them is actually even, both of them are coming up next week on Thursday. And that's another opportunity for us to be able to gain feedback from our current students about how their experiences. We also have a student leadership that is in close contact and has frequent meetings with our leadership team, and they're able to sort of pool and report that feedback as well. So we assess all of this feedback, we discuss amongst ourselves, we discuss how that affects the business that we do. And as you know, under previous Dean, Andrew Ainsley, there's been a very strong focus on student experience, and I am certainly very much on board with that, and we will continue to enhance student experience, make sure that both inside Simon and as they leave and become alumni, but still part of our family, our students always view us as some place where they can return to for both community and for intellectual stimulation. So we have a few metrics.
So I'm going to challenge you with a big picture question here, and you can do your best to bring it home. But what do you think are the long-term implications of COVID in America, learning implications of COVID in America?
So this is a very interesting, and we can spend quite a bit of time. So I'll try to do it, a little bit of justice in the 30 seconds that I will devote to this question. But I think it's still ongoing exactly what that's going to look like. A couple of things. I think there was a lot of sort of, in the beginning, especially saying that, oh, look, we can actually do this, or we can learn to do the educational delivery quite effectively online, as long as, there's of course accessibility issues and sort of make sure that everybody has the right technology and so on. And that's one issue, and it's an important issue that needs to be covered. But we have to understand that at the end of the day, we are social beings. And, as much as we can sort of keep up some of a big percentage of our productivity and our delivery, on using sort of Zoom, using these different technologies, the in-person experience, the casual experience of learning, the casual experience of connecting, the in-person experiences are very, very important. I mean, and that adds into the education and into the experience in ways that are not that easily measurable. So are we going to see a world where we're more, we're purely or close to purely online? I don't think so. I think this experiment, this natural experiment, has taught us that while there are some really nice features of it, which is flexibility and accessibility, I do think that we have to be very intentional about creating those in person. Now, it does change what we want to be able to, what does that engagement look like when we are able to get everybody back in person. We have to be very deliberate about that and spend some time thinking about the sort of the quality of the engagement and not just the quantity. So I don't see a world of which education is all online. But I do see a world in which there's more flexibility and there's more intentional thought and design given to engagement.
Which means more accessibility too. So great stuff. So we have a question here that's a frequent topic in our alumni board meetings, and I don't think we would get to the end of any webinar without asking a question about rankings. So how significant do you think MBA rankings will be, and how much of a role will they play in our strategic initiatives, in the near term, next 5 years?
I'm not going to take my eyes off of rankings. I know that was definitely, again, a very strong focal area, under Dean Ainsley. And, rankings are part of the business schools sort of model operations. And, we can, again, spend a lot of time talk about whether they really measure what they should measure, whether they really, measure the impact of a school. And I don't think so. Simon does a tremendous amount of, if anything, I would look at sort of this incredible alumni, success stories that we have there that I would like to use as the right metric for an impact, as well as the research that comes out of the Simon School and the impact that does in the areas that the Simon School is very well known for. So, but rankings is how prospective students find us. Rankings is the sort of the filter that they perhaps apply at first. Clearly not the only filter, but one of the strong filters that they apply when they're choosing for programs. And there are a lot of things in the rankings that are squarely aligned with where we want to be, whether we're being ranked or not. And that's the scholarly output, the placement outcomes, and the assurance of learning of our students. And what we are seeing right now is that rankings are also starting to move into sort of evaluating schools on the amount of corporate social responsibility, as well as equity, diversity, and inclusion programming, both curricular and co-curricular. So, those are, again, squarely aligned with where we want to be as an institution. So I don't see it as a mutually exclusive phenomenon, that we follow our strategic plans and strategic direction and our desire to be impactful. And I do believe that the two can rise together. So.
Very good. Well, we're running out of time here, and as you may guess, there are a number of questions that will go unanswered. Many of them very interesting and very good. That as I read some of them, I care about the answers. So, Kate, I'm sure we'll be collecting those and finding a format to give some responses either directly or to the group. So, thank you, Dean. As you shared earlier in the webinar, our Executive Director of Advancement, Julie Walker, is leaving. Today's her last day at Simon. So having her here and available, I think we all want to thank her, and we join together in thanking her and wishing her well in her new position at Cornell. We've all spent some valuable time with her, and her contributions are noted, and with gratitude and disappointment as she moves on. Thank you, Julie. We can leave her little box there.
Well, thank you, Tim.
Thank you, everybody.
There you are.
I came on quickly, and I'll disappear again. It's been a pleasure and an honor, really. Thanks so much.
But I just also want to thank you, Tim, for taking the time to do this. And I also want to, now that I've scanned the questions very quickly as well, the cohorts are big. They're bigger than they've ever been. What you saw on those MS numbers were the spring cohort, not the full cohort. So we are in a financially very good position. And that's the good news, which means that it allows us to be able to continue with the strategic directions that the school wants to go to, rather than being hampered by any kind of financial difficulty. So we're in a good position. I am looking forward to engaging with all of you. I'm looking forward to hearing your ideas, and it's been a pleasure to be here and to be able to give you good and exciting news. So thank you for your engagement, and thank you, Tim.
Thank you to all the alumni who participated and joined. I saw a high water mark, over 120 participants. I mean, I think as it relates to our community and the efforts to remain tight in this environment, it's a place I've elected to commit my time, because the Simon School meant a lot to me during an important period of my life. I'm sure to all of you, and so let's just grow the numbers and continue to communicate and participate as much as we can. Thanks, everybody.